created by the four nations that tried Nazi criminals at Nuremberg was unlike any other before or since. But prosecutor Robert Jackson had insisted that its basic rules and procedures be patterned after the adversarial system used in trials in England and in the United States. Lawyers submitted evidence, they examined and cross-examined witnesses, and they brought and argued motions. Our focus now returns to the Nuremberg courtroom, where the presiding judge has cleared the defendant's area so that the court can hear a motion brought by an attorney for just one defendant, Rudolf Hess, now the only defendant in the dock. The question is whether Hess is mentally competent to stand trial.
Attention, tribunal.
I call upon counsel for the defendant, Hess.
Meine Herren Richter.
May it please the tribunal, I am speaking as counsel for the defendant Rudolf Hess. In the proceedings that have already been opened against Hess, the court is to decide solely the question of whether the defendant is fit or unfit to be heard, and further, whether he might even be considered entirely responsible. If his inability to plead is recognized, I request that the proceedings against the defendant not be conducted in his absence.
Is it not consistent with all the medical opinions that the defendant is capable of understanding the course of the proceedings, and that the only defect from which he is suffering is forgetfulness about what happened before he flew to England?
Herr Vorsitzender, es ist richtig.
Mr. President, it is true that the experts consider the defendant Hess capable of following the proceedings. But, on the other hand, in answer to the questions put to them, they emphasize that the defendant is not capable of defending himself.
The United States took this position. The psychiatrist's report indicated that Hess had refused to allow any narcosis drugs to be administered to him. The psychiatrist had wished to give him various drugs which might either stimulate his memory or enable them to tell better the extent to which he was faking. And Hess had refused to allow these drugs to be administered to him.
Amnesia is not of the type that's a complete blotting out of the personality, of the type that would be fatal to his defense. So we feel that so long as Hess refuses the ordinary, simple expedients, even if his amnesia is genuine, that he is not in a position to continue to assert that he must not be brought to trial. We think this trial should proceed.
Before the tribunal had a chance to come to any conclusion about it, Hess himself said he wanted to be heard.
Ich habe gleich zu Beginn der Verhandlung meinem Verteidiger einen Zettel.
He said that he had been feigning, pretending his amnesia, and he wished the tribunal now to know that he was in possession of his faculties, that his concentration was a little disturbed, but that he could remember now, and he wished to take his place with his fellow defendants and to be tried.
This is granted.
Did you sense he was incompetent?
He was out of it.
Yeah.
The strange thing, though, I was in court when there were a group of four appointed to examine. They were all generally well known for their fields and mental conditions, etc. And they came in with a report that Hess was out of it, that he was, and Hess, who was sitting there reading a book, this was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe 4 or something like this, got up and said, well, he was perfectly all right to stand trial, that all of this had been put on. And the journalist came running back. It was extraordinary. Of course, he lapsed after that. He had a momentary flash. Don't worry about me, fellas.
Did it take everybody by surprise?
Yes.
The end of the story, and that the court ordered, after he was indicted and he was in the court, and the court ordered him to be examined by, among others, Soviet psychiatrists, and in order to avoid that examination, Hess stood up in the court and he said, you know, I have an announcement to make. And you know what the announcement was? I can hear his words like today. From today on, my memory will again be available to the outside world.